So the first thing I need to say is that this video will not be monetized. I refuse to profit off of tragedy, and also my heart goes out to those affected in the recent tragedies in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio. I didn't want to make this video because I really don't like talking about topics like this, but since that Fortnite, the game that I talk about, was brought up in this discussion, I felt like I needed to talk about this because this is something I cannot stand in the media, and I want to just throw in my 2 cents. First of all, I need to give you some background. I feel confident with what I'm talking about here because while I was in college, I took an entertainment technologies video and digital media production course. For our final project, we needed to make a 5-minute video where we had to pick one of 20 topics to make a video on. The topic I picked was titled Violence in Video Games and Its Effects on Children. This was a topic brought up by my mom a lot, and I really thought I had a good hand to reach into this topic deeper. I did a lot of research on this project, and I ended up getting a very good score on this project. What I'm mainly discussing today is that news networks seem to push a very ignorant agenda every time a mass shooting happens. Nearly every time there is a shooting in the US, someone always brings up video games. And most recently on Fox, they claimed that Fortnite could have been a factor in the shooting in El Paso, Texas.
What about the psychological makeup? I mean, there is a type, is there not, of person who tends to engage in these kinds of reprehensible acts?
I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but in my opinion, this is a person that never was given parameters, was never had his feet held to the fire, and he was given quite a bit. He was never put in a position where he had to really work his way through something. And if I were a betting man, I'd say that he probably logs 6 to 8 hours a day playing one of those, Fortnite or one of those video games where you're doing nothing but dehumanizing people by blowing their heads off one after another after another.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've clocked around 6 to 8 hours a day on Fortnite for quite a while now. I mean, you can see right here, I'm level 60 already in season 10 already. Like, the season just started, I'm already level 60. Like, that's kind of insane. Yeah, it's because I've been playing the game a lot, and I have never felt dehumanized by playing this game. I'm not going to get angry at this statement, but I would like to just say that these people know nothing of what they speak. Fortnite did not cause these shootings, and Call of Duty did not cause these shootings. People that commit these crimes usually have some sort of mental disability. The fact that Fortnite is brought up as a reason someone murdered 20 people and injured 26 in a Walmart is the most absurd thing I have ever heard in my life. Fortnite has a lot of players, and on March 21st of 2019, there was an interview with Engadget and Epic Games where Epic Games said that Fortnite had around 250 million registered players. Is there 250 million people massacring bars and Walmarts? No, there is not. Video games do not make people kill people, plain and simple. How many mass shootings have there been in the US this year alone? 254. Compare that to the amount of people playing Fortnite, Call of Duty, and any other shooter game on the market. This comparison doesn't even come close. So this whole, oh, it's Fortnite's fault for these massacres is the most bullshit excuse I have ever heard in my life. I feel as though those that blame video games hate that their kids play it and just see guns and assume that kids and adults will reenact what they see in video games. I'm going to start talking about my own personal video I made for my college project. I made this video over 3 years ago. I put myself in the darkest place in my mind that I possibly could just to see if I feel any potential rage or want to harm others after subjecting myself to explicit music, the most violent video games I could find, and watching some of the most scarring movies that I could ever watch. Since video games aren't the only thing brought up, one of the things I mentioned in my video is that people can react to different forms of media than most others, but the argument that because kids play games with guns in it does not mean that those kids will reenact the things they see in game. Most people know that what they are playing is fiction, it's not real. You really expect kids to try to do 90s outside in their backyard or something? There's also the fact that there were lots of violence before video games existed, such as the Cold War, the Holocaust, and World War II. Another situation that is brought up as well is in the Columbine shooting, where Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold shot and killed 12 kids, one teacher, and injured 21 others before taking their own lives. I've reviewed documentaries on this case for my college project as well, and one possible thing that was brought up when discussing why these two boys committed this massacre is the video game Doom and the movie they both related to, NBK, or Natural Born Killers.
Quick. Everything I see and hear I relate to NBK somehow. Feels like a goddamn movie sometimes.
I know we're gonna have followers because we're so godlike. I mean, we're not exactly human. We have human bodies.
Now here's where we get into what I found out in my research. According to the Texas A&M International University, they discovered that playing violent video games is actually a positive thing, stating violent video games may be associated with some positive effects, but little evidence exists to link violent game playing with aggression. The last story I also wanted to touch on is the story coming from this article where it reads, Noah Crooks, a then 13-year-old, attempted to rape his mother and then shoot his mother 22 times because she took away his copy of Call of Duty Black Ops 2 for having bad grades. Now, there was multiple factors with this. Crooks was given a gun when he was 11. Crooks also had anger problems, and he mentions when on the phone with 911, he has some form of ADD. We need to look at the whole situation. Again, I must reiterate, video games are not the sole reason why people kill other people. However, it could play a factor. Video games, especially ones with real-looking guns, could make someone that has a mental illness think it's real life, or just look at it differently than most other people. Someone having a mental illness and playing Call of Duty or Fortnite can react to this sort of thing differently than the majority of players that play these kinds of games. As I said before, there's over 250 million players that play Fortnite, but we only have a little bit over 200 mass shootings, so that doesn't add up at all. This isn't a video game problem. It's not even a movie or a music problem. Guns kill people, not video games. And I don't know how we can actually stop this. This is something that is very hard to put a law on. Until someone important dies from a mass shooting, I don't see the US taking any real action. They've let this happen so often in 2019 alone. It's gotten to the sad realization that I do firmly believe that nothing will actually happen until the wrong person dies. Thoughts and prayers won't bring back the innocent people that died while in a bar or at a Walmart. This is a serious issue, and I hope something happens soon enough, because seriously, how many people need to die before some sort of gun reform or some sort of extra security when obtaining weapons happens? Like, how is someone that is mentally ill able to get an AR-15? I personally don't even want people to get weapons that powerful because I think it's just unnecessary. I just want change now. And I'm so hurt for the families that are broken apart because of some evil beings, selfish and sick desires to hurt others, and we still blame video games for this issue, and not mental health, and not background checks on gun sales.